In today's video, I'm going to compare the Battlefield 1 Behemoths with their real life counterparts. I've tried to find some short clips of the real Behemoths in action, and the links of those can be found in the description below. I'd also like to add that I'm not an expert on this, and although I've done my research, I'm sure many will know things about these giant machines that I've failed to mention. Please use the comments section to add things that I haven't talked about, or discuss any experiences that you may have had with these Behemoths, in game or even in real life. Let's start off with the Dreadnought, perhaps the most terrifying behemoth in the game, at least from the audio side. The Dreadnought is a huge battleship designed to turn the tide on maps located in coastal areas. In my opinion, it isn't the most useful behemoth as it can't actually get on objectives, however the main weapon is completely devastating and can flatten entire teams with just a few shots. Historically, the Dreadnought was the main sort of battleship in the early 20th century and had two features that separated it from previous designs, and this made it quite revolutionary. It had lots of heavy caliber guns and far more firepower than previous ships. It also had steam turbine propulsion. Many years have passed since the First World War, and as such, only one Dreadnought survives, the USS Texas. That specific ship was launched on the 18th of May 1912 and commissioned on the 12th of March 1914. I believe DICE have done a great job with the visuals and audio of the Dreadnoughts in Battlefield 1, and I for one definitely enjoy the eerie echo it makes when it's destroyed, and can clearly see how devastating these things would have been in combat during the war. The second behemoth I want to take a look at is the Armoured Train. This is my personal favourite behemoth in the game, as I feel it captures objectives and actually allows the losing team to push and turn the tides. The firepower is also notable, with several large caliber weapons that all have the capability of mashing any enemy soldiers or armour that get in its way. Historically, these trains were used as they offered an innovative way to quickly move large amounts of firepower around, and therefore help the war effort. As you may have seen in Battlefield 1's campaign, the trains were vulnerable, and tracks were often sabotaged or damaged, leaving the train pretty much useless until fixed. This was one of the main reasons most countries discontinued the use of armoured trains after the First World War, alongside the fact that other road vehicles were being quickly developed and could be far more flexible in a war situation. During World War I, Russia used a mix of light and heavy armoured trains, with the heavy trains being mounted with 4.2 inch or 6 inch guns. The light trains had 7.62mm guns. The Austro-Hungarians also fielded armoured trains against the Italians during the war. The use of armoured trains can be seen throughout the multiplayer in Battlefield 1, and of course DICE have tried to be as historically accurate as possible with where they were located. However, the actual use of the trains in Battlefield 1 isn't that similar to how they were used in real life. As I mentioned before, they were quite often used just for transport and had the guns in order to protect them from incoming enemies. The 31st of May 1915 saw a single German Zeppelin airship ominously appear over the rooftops of North London. It soon began to drop bombs, causing destruction, noting the first time London had been bombed from the air. Although the Zeppelins were horrendously scary, they weren't actually that effective. Whilst planes, tanks and other military vehicles have been continuously developed and are still used in modern day military engagements, the Zeppelin, or airship, is not really used at all, unless you count capturing aerial shots at sports events in America. You have to imagine though, people hadn't experienced this sort of warfare before, and even with the low amount of casualties, the fear of being attacked in the night by a silent enemy would be terrifying. During the First World War, the German military made extensive use of Zeppelins as bombers, killing over 500 people in bombing raids in Britain, so clearly they had a use, but they certainly didn't behave in the same way as they do in Battlefield 1. They flew far higher in order to avoid being shot down, and consequently pilots and crew members found it extremely difficult to pinpoint targets down below, whilst the weapons certainly didn't have the unlimited ammunition or the ability to accurately take out individuals at the range that you can do in BF1. Even so, DICE have made a real effort with the airship in Battlefield 1, and I for one enjoy the scenes when it gets destroyed and falls to earth in a huge ball of fire. The CHAR 2C was a French super heavy tank designed to match the British Mark V landship. the 2C was huge, and that can certainly be seen in game. The thought behind it was for it to be able to break through enemy fortifications and cross directly over trenches, but as we know, tanks in World War I often got stuck due to their weight and poor design. This was not the main reason for the CHAR 2C being unsuccessful, however. The reason it never made it into service during the First World War was down to the FT-17 light tank, also one of the tanks available in Battlefield 1. The French decided to focus on that tank instead of the massive CHAR 2C, however it was completed after the war in 1921, with 10 units being created. The tank was unfortunately useless due to its size, speed and weight alongside advancements in other technology. As you can probably expect, the CHAR 2C was, at the time, the largest operational tank ever made, however that accolade has since been lost. I for one really enjoy the way the CHAR 2C looks in Battlefield 1, they've been very realistic with the size compared to the other tanks, and you can clearly see how much larger it is compared to the already massive Mark V tank. Of course the way it can soak up damage isn't exactly realistic, as most tanks in the First World War would be able to shake off a bit of fire, but when hit with a high explosive round, that would cause significant damage, mainly to the tracks, therefore rendering it pretty useless. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like down below. I might have a look at including future Behemoths in an upcoming video, as I know DICE might have some little ideas about what they're doing with Behemoth gameplay. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.